Have you ever come across someone who looks so much like a cartoon character that the line between reality and animation blurs? While some people intentionally dress up as their animated counterparts, others naturally bear an uncanny resemblance, sometimes to an almost bizarre degree. From nostalgic icons to beloved TV personalities, here are 25 real people who look like cartoon characters. Number 25. Granny. Right off the bat, here is an old lady who looks exactly like the Granny from Tweety. The character's name is actually Emma Webster, but a lot of us grew up calling her Granny. Who would have thought that the real one would be taking the public bus on a random weekday? The cartoon character is famous for being the caregiver of Tweety Bird in the show from the 1950s. Granny is depicted as a kind-hearted, yet fiercely protective and clever elderly woman. As many know, she always favored the bird over Sylvester the cat, the other house pet that was always out to get Tweety. Initially voiced by Bea Benaderet and later by June Foray for nearly 6 decades, Granny's character evolved over time. She was often shown to have old-fashioned tastes, but her portrayal was updated in later years to include more modern roles, such as a nurse or bus driver. Ironically, this old lady is sitting on a bus and is holding a yellow bag. Who knows? Maybe she has a cat named Sylvester at home too. Let's be real though. She is a little too old to be walking around and telling everyone she's from the Looney Tunes cartoon. This next one though, make sure everyone recognizes the cartoon he looks like. Number 24. Peter Griffin. Robert Franzese has slowly accepted the fact that he's the real-life Peter Griffin from Family Guy. Whether at a cosplay convention or in public, Franzese makes sure the round glasses, white button-up, and green pants are worn in style for anyone to recognize. The resemblance to the character is uncanny and began at the 2012 New York Comic Con, where he first cosplayed as Peter Griffin. He had planned to go as the Marvel superhero Ghost Rider, but because it was too hot, he decided to wear something lighter. His spot-on impression and similarity to Peter make him an instant fan favorite. The character is from the classic American animated sitcom called Family Guy, which is about a white middle-class man trying to do the right thing by taking care of his family of 5, including their beloved talking dog, Brian. Speaking of talking animals, it's hard to imagine a real-life human that looks like one, but hey, they exist. Number 23. Scar. Everyone remembers the evil lion that was out to get Mufasa and his kingdom, right? Now, Scar's doppelganger is not technically a person you would bump into on the way to work. The reason is that the look-alike can be found in the early seasons of Game of Thrones. Khal Drogo, played by Jason Momoa, has a striking similarity with Scar the lion, and the energy that they give on screen is the same too. Scar is a cunning and ruthless lion with a distinctive scar, which gave him his name, and a dark mane that is easily recognizable from the rest of the pride. Khal Drogo, on the other hand, is just as fierce and is a powerful Dothraki warlord. The two bring an eerie atmosphere whenever on screen, which is probably why a lot of people think they are so similar. But The Lion King was released years before Game of Thrones hit the small screen. So is there a famous cartoon character that is actually inspired by a real person? Number 22. Mr. Burns. Like Family Guy, The Simpsons is just as iconic in its long storytelling and hilarious characters. Mr. Burns in particular bears a lot of similarities with a famous British banker. The hair, mouth, and menacing look are all spot on when you put photos of Mr. Burns and Jacob Rothschild together. Rothschild was the 4th Baron Rothschild and part of a wealthy family who hailed from the banking industry. Mr. Burns, on the other hand, is the rich owner of the Springfield nuclear power plant. Burns had an impact on Springfield while Rothschild controlled British businesses and philanthropy. Mr. Burns had a huge role in running Springfield as well. The craziest part is that the Rothschild family has strong ties with the Illuminati, as many conspiracy theorists claim. Mr. Burns has his fair share of controversies too. This is not the only character from the show with lookalikes though. Number 21. Ned Flanders. The fun yet bothersome neighbor of Homer and his family is not really difficult to catch in real life. Just put on round glasses, grow a mustache, and voila. Some strangers end up looking like Flanders entirely by accident, But here is the real kicker. Some very famous characters in other movies and shows unintentionally look like him too. Take Gary Oldman in The Dark Knight for starters. Christopher Nolan probably did not expect this at all, but fans were quick to pick up the uncanny resemblance. Sure, the characters were polar opposites, but it was still really fun to see the similarities. Another example of this was Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad. Well, that was before he shaved his head a few episodes later. Do you think either of these characters are capable of talking like Ned Flanders? Serious characters accidentally resembling Ned Flanders is funny, but this was completely unintentional. In the end, they're all fictional and don't have to face any real-life problems looking like a Simpsons character. But this next person has to enter the world of politics looking like a monster. Number 20. Prince Adam. In Beauty and the Beast, Beast turns into a human towards the end of the movie. Well, that very frame looks an awful lot like the son of former French President Nicolas Sarkozy. Yes, Jean Sarkozy, a French politician, looks exactly like the human version of Prince Adam from the Disney classic. The long hair, facial structure, and the fact that both are from wealthy backgrounds say everything you need to know about John and Adam. If John grew hair all over his body, do you think he would find his own belle? But apart from Jean, there's another famous person whose doppelganger is also a prince. Number 19. Prince Charming. Now, there have been many Prince Charmings in movies and shows in the past, but the Prince Charming in question is the one from Shrek. No one expected this, but there just had to be a doppelganger out there when viewers saw the face of Prince Charming in the movie. The golden hair and square jaw looked like none other than another Game of Thrones character. Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who plays Jaime Lannister, was a fan favorite chosen to be the Prince Charming of Westeros. Even in the rare funny moments in the home box office show, Jaime has the tendency to act as comedically as Charming from Shrek. Who's the big green ogre in Game of Thrones, though? Turns out, he actually existed several years ago. Number 18. Shrek. Many wondered who or what was the inspiration behind the green ogre. If someone as big actually looked like him, he or she would consider it rather humiliating to see the DreamWorks movie. Who would want to be associated with such a thing? Well, truth be told, the assumption is that Shrek was inspired by a professional wrestler who was born in 1904. Known as the French Angel, Maurice Tillet gained fame in the 1930s and 40s for his unique appearance. He was diagnosed with acromegaly, a condition that caused excessive bone growth in his body. Because of this, his facial features and body structure were both highly altered and gave him a distinctive figure in the wrestling world. Despite his appearance, he was harmless and was adored by his fans, friends, and family. He really was a gentle giant. So, was he the blueprint for DreamWorks when coining the idea of Shrek? The writers haven't commented on this theory, but fans think that Maurice was the perfect inspiration when creating the beloved ogre. Pixar, on the other hand, had characters that any average person could end up looking like, which is exactly what happened when an old man watched a movie about a house and 1,000 balloons. Number 17. Mr. Fredricksen. The first 5 minutes of the animated movie Up made everyone tear up, not knowing what was in store for the rest of the film. Towards the end of the movie, Mr. Fredricksen goes from a grumpy old man to someone with optimism who has a soft spot for Russell and his furry friends. When people discovered an old man with the same nose, glasses, hair, and chin, everyone was pleased to see the wholesome face again. And yes, there definitely is a chubby little kid wearing a Scout's uniform who looks exactly like Russell. Both the Mr. Fredricksen and Russell lookalikes resemble these characters just once and move on with their lives. They don't really make a living out of it. This next queen does the complete opposite. Number 16. Queen Elsa. Frozen was an instant classic as soon as it hit theaters. So when a woman found a cardboard cutout of Queen Elsa during the Frozen premiere, she just had to stand and pose. Meet Anna Faith, a name that ironically belongs to the character's sister in the movie. When people said that she needed to begin her cosplay journey, she went all in. Anna goes around her hometown in Daytona Beach, Florida, to brighten the days of little girls who always wanted to see a real-life version of their favorite Disney character. She and her sister dress up as Elsa and Anna from the movies and bring joy to the children in their town. They also have a blast when going to conventions where Faith often dresses up as her other favorite fictional characters. To many, she's the top pick to star in a live-action Frozen movie. Speaking of fan casts, there's another actor who looks just like a notorious villain. Number 15. The Riddler. Edward Nygma, more famously known as the Riddler, is one of the smartest and most cunning villains in the Batman Rogues Gallery to this date. Second to the Joker, the Riddler uses his obsession with riddles to wreak havoc on Gotham City. The character looks different in almost every iteration, especially in the more recent live-action film by Matt Reeves. But the actor in that film, Paul Dano, did not look much like the original character. Many have found a resemblance between the Riddler and an actor known for his comedic role in a hit sitcom called How I Met Your Mother. Neil Patrick Harris has that particular energy in him that just radiates Gotham villain. For years, Batman fans have wanted the legendary actor to suit up and fight their favorite superhero, but Reeves had other plans in mind. Paul Dano embodied a more serious version of the character, yet if there were ever to be another film with the villain, Harris would be the perfect fit. Maybe it's the hair that really helps with the impersonation. After all, similar hair textures do a lot when comparing animation to real life, just like it does for the next actress. Number 14. Mother Gothel. Tangled turned out to be a surprising success because of how memorable the characters and comedy were. The evil mother who kept Rapunzel locked in the tower, though, deserves a separate round of applause. Now, to find someone with curly hair like that is very difficult, especially when everyone in Hollywood is dyeing their hair left and right. But this one actress from House kept it natural and is unintentionally the biggest doppelganger of Mother Gothel that anyone could have imagined. Lisa Edelstein, famous for her role as Dr. Lisa Cuddy in the medical drama, has a striking similarity with Rapunzel's caregiver. If Disney were to ever think of making a live-action version of the movie, they know who to call. It makes you wonder if the creators based these characters on the actors and actresses in Hollywood. If that's the case, then the next character is proof that Pixar has some explaining to do. Number 13, Mrs. Potato Head. Before diving into the obvious look-alike, let's take a peek at Mrs. Potato Head from Toy Story. Though her role wasn't that important in the film, apart from comic relief, the positioning of her facial features is what had everyone making connections to a certain rapper. While watching Buzz and Woody go on their wacky adventures, viewers could not help but find a link between Mrs. Potato Head and Nicki Minaj. The rapper's vibrant wigs and heavy makeup in front of the camera just screams Miss Potato Head. Luckily, the artist hasn't reacted to people calling her Mrs. Potato Head. After all, it can be pretty embarrassing for a celebrity to react to something like that, especially when Nicki Minaj is simply being herself. But Miss Potato's husband, on the other hand, is a completely different story. Number 12. Mr. Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head is more famous than Woody and Buzz Lightyear in the Toy Story franchise. Many were quick to label him as a parody of the famous talk show host Steve Harvey. The mustache, facial features, and even the way the animated character talked are all reasons why this comparison was a no-brainer. Unlike Nicki Minaj, Steve Harvey welcomes the similarity as a running gag on his televised programs. Audience members are quick to point out what children's toy and animated character he looks like, and the whole live studio audience ends up laughing hysterically. Many thought the creators of Toy Story based Mr. Potato Head on Steve Harvey, but that's not entirely true. The character is based on the toy that was released in stores back in the 1980s. The resemblance between the two is entirely coincidental, but it looks like the writers of Toy Story knew about the doppelganger before anyone else did and just ran with it. Now, coincidences like this are everywhere. Whether they're in the subway or on the street, even if the colors match, a human being is likely to look like a cartoon character. The next kid is the perfect example of this. Number 11. Dora the Explorer. This little girl took Nickelodeon by storm with her purple backpack, talking map, and pet monkey wearing red boots. Kids from all over the world played along with her interactive adventures. Dora the Explorer's iconic hair and clothes make her an easily recognizable character, especially if a stranger is seen wearing her colors in public, which is why this little kid wearing all purple looks exactly like her. All that is missing is a talking backpack, a map, a monkey wearing boots, and a fox who keeps trying to stop her from her tracks. The adventures this little kid will embark on are endless. Let's just hope she has a catchy song to sing throughout her journey. Speaking of Nickelodeon kids, this next one will surprise you to the point of no return. Number 10. Chuckie Finster. Rugrats featured all kinds of children drawn with squiggly lines. But as people grew older, they realized that one of them looked a lot like a very famous musician. The first thing that gives away the similarity between Chuckie Finster and Ed Sheeran is the ginger hair, which is rare on its own. Mix the frizzy hair and the right pair of glasses, and it looks like Chuckie Finster was pulled right out of the television screen. British singer-songwriter Ed Sheeran is famous for his ginger hair. In fact, he made a music video where Rupert Grint, the actor who plays Ron Weasley in Harry Potter, acted as Ed himself. The thing these two had in common? Ginger hair. Give Chuckie a guitar and a broken heart, and you have yourself a global icon. Some say that even the way Ed acts is similar to Chuckie. When talking about body language, this next person had a heavy influence on one of the most famous cartoon characters ever. Number 9. Bugs Bunny. You might be wondering how a human being could possibly look like a talking bunny. Surprisingly, there's a deep story behind the lovable character. The 1934 film It Happened One Night is said to be the inspiration behind the creation of Bugs Bunny, probably the most iconic cartoon character in history. The development and brainstorming took place in a scene where Clark Gable's character, Peter Warne, eats a carrot while talking quickly on a bench. An actor eating a carrot in such a way is a rare find, but it was enough for Warner Brothers to find inspiration for their next biggest hit. Gable's accent and body mannerisms both helped turn Bugs Bunny into a successful cartoon. The similarity between the two eating a carrot and talking is uncanny, to say the least. But the actor in the movie looks like him too. The slim figure, the love for carrots, and of course, the black and white film that makes him look like a gray rabbit, all add up to make a doppelganger no one expected. Clark went on to work on other films playing different characters. His career was not limited to looking like Bugs Bunny. Not much can be said about a certain Costco clerk, though. Number 8. Maui. Disney's Moana was an instant classic amongst the newer generation. The characters were as lovable as ever, and since many children have wild imaginations, it was no surprise when two little girls spotted their favorite demigod when shopping at their local Costco. The story of William Vana captured the hearts of many due to his striking resemblance to Maui from Moana. The character, voiced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, has a catchphrase where he screams the words, "Chee-hoo." As a Costco clerk, Vana had no problem with doing just that to make the little girls smile. The long hair, build, and of course, the Samoan and Polynesian tattoos that cover both Maui and Vana's bodies are all reasons for children to believe that the person calculating their grocery bill is the demigod they saw at the cinema. His interaction with children is what truly sets him apart, though. He not only looks like Maui, but also plays the part and often greets the kids with a loud "chee-hoo." This enthusiasm has made him a favorite among families who visit the Costco store. Some mothers claimed that their daughters looked forward to meeting Vana more than anything during their weekly or monthly grocery trips. The striking appearance led to Vana going to children's parties as the character himself. He performed at nearly 50 events as Maui. Imagine doing your job and having people come to you because you look like a cartoon character. Well, this next actor's entire life seems to be that way. Number 7. Mr. Spacely. Mr. Spacely from The Jetsons, voiced by Mel Blanc, is depicted as a stout, partly bald man with a ring of black hair at the back of his head. He also has a toothbrush-type mustache. Does this remind you of anyone? Well, it's none other than Danny DeVito, of course. The actor's overall appearance has fascinated character designers across every medium. At this point, DeVito probably looks like 100 cartoon characters. Fans just can't seem to get tired of a character that looks and acts like the beloved actor. DeVito has no issue with cartoons that look like him, as long as they're entertaining the audience. It may come as a shock when you are watching a movie and notice a character that looks like someone you once saw before. This is probably what went through people's minds when watching The Incredibles. Number 6. Edna Mode. Cape or no cape, Edna Mode was the highlight of The Incredibles. Her comedic timing and personality made every scene as memorable as the last. But when people were binging NCIS Los Angeles, they realized that one of the characters looked just like her. Linda Hunt's portrayal of Henrietta Lang looks an awful lot like Edna from the animated film. The glasses, black clothes, and height all had people wondering if they were watching their favorite crime show or a live-action version of The Incredibles. Linda's exceptional short height is because of a medical condition, though. She suffers from hypopituitary dwarfism. In other words, her body could not make the right hormones to help her grow taller. So at almost 80 years of age, Linda stands at just 4'7", which makes her look like Edna even more. There has been a huge rise in live-action animated movies. So, if Pixar decides to bring The Incredibles to life, they can start by casting Linda Hunt as Edna. Everyone is sure that the legendary actress would just nail the character's personality. The same thing can be said about this next actor too. Number 5. Jafar. Aladdin's arch-nemesis, the cunning Jafar, is a character as original as it comes. Simply no one can nail those eyes, facial expressions, and mannerisms. For starters, the obvious reason is that he's animated, which makes embodying the character a little difficult. But everyone seems to have forgotten the legendary musician Prince. Apart from his music, the legend was known for his androgynous style both in clothing and makeup. Pair these together and you see a very strong candidate for a real-life Jafar. Now, Jafar is known for his sinister ambitions against Princess Jasmine and Prince Aladdin. Prince did not have enemies as such, but he definitely had a similar wardrobe. The musician was famous for his theatrical appearance, one that matched Jafar's long capes and traditional dark clothes. Some fans think that Prince would have made an intriguing Jafar compared to the actor who portrayed him in the live action. But due to the representation of actual Arab actors, it was best that Prince stayed away from the live-action film. It's always interesting to see characters and people carry similar styles and personalities. In fact, this next person made a career out of it. Number 4. Victor. Vector was the famous villain from the first Despicable Me movie. His haircut, orange tracksuit, giant glasses, and signature "oh yeah" catchphrase had everyone trying to mimic the character. One person in particular managed to nail the impersonation. Not only does this man look exactly like the Despicable Me villain, but he acts like him too and goes by the same name on YouTube and TikTok. His whole gimmick is testing Amazon products and telling fans whether they are worth the buy. Surprisingly, no information is available about the true identity of this mystery character. His real name and personal life are hidden from the public, which is probably a smart thing to do because not everyone is a fan of his content. But this Vector person is not the only one who made a career out of pretending to be a famous character. Number 3. SpongeBob SquarePants. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? That's right, SpongeBob SquarePants. It would be nearly impossible to find someone who looked like a yellow sponge wearing a shirt, tie, shorts, and shoes. But to everyone's surprise, he was found. Ethan Slater portrayed SpongeBob in the musical adaptation of the animated series. This was his breakout role, and it premiered in Chicago back in 2016. This performance soon moved to Broadway and earned him a Tony Award nomination for Best Actor in a Musical. While Ethan Slater does not look exactly like SpongeBob SquarePants, his portrayal of the character was so convincing that it blurred the lines between actor and character. Slater's youthful energy and expressive facial features allowed him to embody SpongeBob's optimistic and enthusiastic personality on stage. The toothed smile is what makes him look like the character the most, because many people realize that no one would have portrayed SpongeBob better than Ethan. SpongeBob musicals aside, there is another musician who could do a different cartoon character justice too. Number 2. Arthur Red. The animated series that explored adolescence in animal-like humans had a lot of kids hooked to their television screens. In fact, this is the longest kids animated series in history, and it holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts, so it's only fit to honor it with something special. Whether they choose a live-action version or a musical adaptation, Arthur must live on. But does Arthur have a doppelganger with good vocal cords? John Legend, a Grammy and Academy Award-winning artist, looked exactly like Arthur Red. The similarities were a running gag on the internet for a while, to which Legend himself reacted in a humorous way. Could he add another feat to his career by portraying a beloved childhood character? He might have the heart to, but there's one star in Hollywood who would never think of doing such a thing. Number 1. Tarzan. Many think it would be a piece of cake to find someone with long hair and a long face to look like Tarzan. But shockingly, it's easier said than done. Which is why when you see a photo of Tarzan and Weird Al Yankovic, you'd be surprised to see the resemblance. There's just something about them that makes them look alike. Is it the long hair? Or is it the facial structure? People say that Yankovic would be the perfect live-action Tarzan, but that's highly unlikely. The possibility of Weird Al even pretending to be a live-action Tarzan in a movie is close to zero. However, Weird Al is known for his comedic song parodies and original productions. He gained fame with his songs like Eat It and My Bologna, and has sold over 12 million albums. Al is not a new artist, though. Fans have pointed out his resemblance to Tarzan for years, even decades. After all, that's how long his career has run, winning 5 Grammy Awards and a ton of nominations. His comedy continues to entertain audiences, all while releasing catchy songs. His satire knows no bounds because his film, Weird the Al Yankovic Story, told the story of his life in a way that satirized musical biopics. Who knows? Maybe he'll end up creating a satire of Tarzan as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.